So, this is Legend of Keeper, and it's a turn-based anti-dungeon crawler roguelite, right? Now, a lot of people, they don't know what a roguelite is, and the differences between the two, it's a roguelite has a restart mechanic with no overlaps, so you don't get any bonuses, no buffs, nothing. It will just keep replaying a game for you that is completely new and fresh every time. A roguelite is the reverse. It has gradually increasing buffs and benefits that carry over each game, right? And they can be permanent or temporary, but the buff's always there. So that's the difference between the two. And honestly, a lot of the time, I find myself drawn to the light more than the like, and this one is definitely the light version. It has buffs that carry over, very strong ones from the talent tree tied to each master. Now, this is an anti-dungeon crawler, which I find quite interesting. It basically means you're defending a dungeon instead of attacking it. And you'll defend a different dungeon every time. So I'll show you a bit how the game works, how it feels, how it flows. And I'll show you a bit of the deeper gameplay mechanics of the game. I will tell you though, this game isn't very complicated. It's not very deep, right? It's reasonably deep, right? It's not deep as puddle wide as an ocean, but it's like lake deep. So I'll show you the options menu, of which there is nothing. This game has no options. This game does not require computing power at all, in my opinion. I have a NVIDIA GeForce 2080 Ti, so yeah. I'll show you a bit of my gameplay. I won't show you the gameplay of a run that's already happening. I'll show you a restarted run. So I'll just go in there and show you a little bit so you understand what's happening.
Let's get to work.
The game works by a sort of sim system. That means is... I'll just lower the volume a little. It basically means it has weeks, right? And each week you'll choose what to do and what not to do each week as it goes on. So it's quite a good system. Works well. And this is your rooms with minions in each one. You can sort of pick and choose, and they all have abilities, and I'll show you a bit more of that later. Right? So let's hop out of here, because obviously I don't really need to show you this part yet. So we'll hop out of here. There we go. Yep. Yeah, very nice. Score. Okay, and then I'll level up here, which is really nice. I'll show you that too. Now, this is the Centaur Master that you can pick. You have different ones here. You have 3 choices, 3 of which are DLC. So I'm hopping out here in order to show you, well, in order to lower the audio a little bit more, because they're very loud. It's unfortunate. Now, inside the game, you have champions, essentially. They have different themes tied to them. So this master particularly is more undead, and sort of each one of these runs, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and up, they'll have different sort of vibes to them. I guess starting minions, and also minions that they can get, which I will show you a bit of later. So here you see the rewards here. They differ between each run, right? So this one's called Vampire, which is very powerful. You get as a reward a chance to get in a future run. Now, these are special runs that have to do with just fun little sort of mega tied to the DLCs that you've bought or not bought. And then there are endless modes and ascension modes. If you complete, you have to complete the campaign for each master in order to unlock that, which I have done on the first one here. I haven't done that on the other ones. But these 3 first ones are normal, basic bitch characters that you get for buying the game. And then the other 3 are DLCs, right? Which I will show a bit more later. For now, I'll just focus on the gameplay that's available to you if you buy the game originally and initially. So here, one of them focuses on magic. One of them focuses on physical damage, bleeds, which is this one we're looking at, Slaveholder. And then the other one there is more traps. Now, Enchantress here has Talent Tree. All of them do. And each town tree sort of gives you a minion or something big in the right side, and the left side is more focused on buffing the master itself or minions tied to the master. So here you get a vampire here, it's nice. And then you get a dog here, I think, as well, which I will show you. But the vampires are powerful to the starting deck, and then the skeleton dog there to the other starting deck, also very powerful. If you hop out of here, I'll show you a run and how it works. But this one also has a minion here, Treants. This is also very nice. You can sort of tweak out your deck. This one focuses more on traps and sort of win more, basically. That's the playstyle of this. So I'll show you a run in here at the start, I'd say. It's pretty... It's not that difficult of a game to get into initially. But it has different starting sort of uniqueness. Each one's different. And you get different rewards as well, as you can see. Right? I can customize the game, which will change how it works. So I'll put heroes on strong, goal gains high, low master life. And motivation is interesting. Motivation is this game's mechanic of XCOM, basically. Don't use the same team every time, because they'll get sad or damaged, right? So I'm going to put motivation on 0 for show purposes only. That basically means that the minions won't get sad and I can use them indefinitely. Otherwise, you'd have to rotate out a team of minions that you defend with. I'll put the game on normal as well, so it's not too long, because I want to show you a champion fight. Now this is a promotion tied to the Enchantress only. Every single hero master has a different sort of promotion screen. The slaveholder has a very specific minion he gets to pick, a mega minion, has his own special room. I get to pick a spell, so I'm going to pick that one. The trap lady has a big sort of trap room, mega trap room, a very special trap that she can sort of play with. So here's my rooms that I get to depict here. Now, each minion has abilities, as you can see there. Succubus has a bunch of stuff, and every minion has this, a passive, or they can unlock the passive as they level up. It's quite interesting. So here I want sort of a treant with some debuffs, along with the succubus who can increase the debuffs, and then the fire dude up in the right corner there who can sort of increase the length of the debuffs. So this one deals poison damage and has thorns, which is really nice. If he dies first, which is the whole idea, he will apply thorns to everyone else. This guy increases the length of each penalty, whatever that might be. So if you have bleeding, that's a penalty. He can increase the length of it. And this one has a ricocheting sort of poison attack. Or a fire attack if you level her up. Basically it means is, if the enemy's target has positive armor, so bulky, her poison will spread to the target behind her. And that target will then spread further if the armor is positive. So each week will pass here. And you have traps, of course, you can place. But each week will pass here, and you get to, like, sort of upgrade and change the traps. And they have different effects, which I will talk a bit more about when we get into a fight. Now, this is an icon up there. That basically means I can't afford it, so there's no point. Here are the minions, though. Now, obviously, each minions have difference depending on the run. So here I am elemental and skeleton focused. So I'm going to be having most of that. I mean, the skeleton trumpeter is quite good, but I don't want to run him every time, so we'll renew here and see what we get. I like her. Let's get her. And I'll put her in room 2. And then hop out of here, and then we'll go into events. Now, events are quite different. So I can basically spend blood, which I can't afford, in order to try and get one of these artifacts here. Now, this artifact's quite good if I'm going to go a full skeleton build, which we'll try to do. Basically make them more tanky. It's very powerful, honestly. I recommend the bone. Resistances and armor in this game is king. Really is. To try and weigh up the amount of damage you're taking. Now, I sacrificed that minion for that bone there. Right? Alright, so here, I will just pop into a game. Now, here is the rooms. And this is the best part of the game, by far. So the rooms are up here, and you're going to have to defend here. And each of the maps are different, so it's not the same map every time. Now, I will put that trap there, because it will basically reduce the amount of... The traps are different, but I will show you that you can actually go back and change the trap if you weren't happy. So you can always go back and forth and play around. You're not stopped. Now let's put him here. Because obviously each enemies have buffs and debuffs too. Now obviously, if I were more of a planner, I could plan the encounter before I even start fighting. But for now, we don't need to care too much about that. I'm quite good at this game, so it's okay. Now, the enemies have... You can actually learn the icons if you're good. You can learn how they look, so you can get a quick overview. You don't have to go in and look every time. So we're going to set this up a little here. That seems good to me. Let's see. We can play around a little. So he'll take damage first. Hopefully he'll die and spread the thorns that he's got. Now, it's quite interesting because obviously all of the traps and all of the map's mechanics, that one there is actually a mechanic tied to the map. That's my spells, right? So the mechanic, the castle there, it's quite different for each map. But that's my spells, right? These are my spells. The Enchantress is the only one that gets that. For the Slaveholder, he'd have a minion there. And for the Trap Lady, she'll have like a big mega trap instead of the spell sort of roster I have there. It's quite powerful, each one of them. And you only get them after you promote, which basically happens normally halfway through a mission. So here we are. Now, that will only activate if I only had skeletons, which I sadly don't have. Alright, so let's see what happens. So these, that's the time you can actually increase the speed as much as you like. But here, we have some spells, and obviously, if I went Enchanted Seeds here, my next minion fighters would be transformed, but we're not going to do that. We don't have to do that right now. I'm going to try to get some damage in, because the next trap is ice damage, which would help if I used magical brambles. So I think we'll do that. Yeah, that seems good to me. Here we go, and now it's going to trigger. And it's going to be weak to my spells now, which I already planned for. And here are my spells. Now, I could go Poisoned Corpses here, which that'll do a lot of damage, and it will give Poison Body, which means if someone dies, it will spread poison. But it's a bit of a gamble, because they might not die. So we'll go this one. Cursed Seeds, because it will get random penalties. That could be anything. It could be bleeds, poison, it could be whatever. We got quite a good roll there. Poison Bodies, we got quite a good roll we can play around with. Now, the guy in the front has negative armor, which means that my succubus poison won't spread. So there's no point even trying to play around with that. Yeah, unfortunately, I realized this, that it won't spread, but we can poison him at least. Now, Persecution will increase a random debuff. If they are, it will increase the highest debuff, but if they're equal, then it will increase the, I think it's the furthest back. And usually that's poison. Or bleed. Depending. So he has cleared the buffs there, which unfortunate, but it happens. Now you might notice that they're dealing a lot of damage, and they are. And the reason for that is because I set them to be very strong. Now, here are the map sort of event, I guess you could call it. Disaster. Now you can pick here. Now I could go slow here if I wanted, or I can put Boiling Cloud for the debuff there. I'll go Mosquitoes because it deals damage and we need to get them killed. And there's two types of damage. There's Physical, which deals with life, and I'll count Magical as Physical. And then there is Morale, which will make them run. Alright, so they're gonna deal a lot of damage to me here, unfortunately. It's okay, though. That's Morale, and that's Physical, right? So, we'll try and kill some people. Tiredness would be nice, but let's go Magnificent. So obviously, my master is at the end of this hall. And you'll have to fight with her, or him. Quite frequently in the game, I'd say. Because you're gonna make a mistake, and they're gonna get through, and then you're gonna have to protect the treasure with the master, which is gonna happen here.
From the earth you were born.
Now usually it's worth killing the enemy instead of instead of like doing AoE. If you can kill one of them, you should probably do it. Then I will take some damage here, definitely. Now, your master has buffs, debuffs, passives, and everything, which you can train up during the weak section of the game. Now, honestly, I wish there was more to it. This is the only thing I wish of the game. I wish they had more buffs that didn't do with country that carried over from each game. Like maybe you could pick like a small way of sort of tweaking your starter team, or so that you can sort of push the narrative of the game towards a direction. Now this is the end screen. Now I knew I was going to get a minion here, which, yeah, so I'm going to pick the lady, spider lady. I'm going to put her in room maybe 2. Yeah, put her in 2. And I can remove the skeleton now. Now here we have the event week. So we're going to go engineer, I believe. Yeah, let's go engineer. Come on. Click. Come on. I'm recording this after the gameplay, if you didn't notice. Now this will mean that they are unavailable for 5 weeks, but if I don't heal them, they'll be unavailable. A bit confusing, but that's what it means. So I can pay 200 to get them healed, so I can keep them, but I'll not do that. It's okay. Now we'll train a minion. I think I'm gonna train the spider lady, or maybe it was that one. Okay. Now therapist will basically boost the creature's motivation, which again we don't really need, and this one is also an event with motivation, which we also don't need. So I'm not gonna click on it because we don't really need it right now. Let's hop into the merchant again and see if we can get a couple of skeletons, which I don't think I do. I could go for him, but he's not very good. He's decent. But I'm looking for like skeleton runs, but I'm also showing you the different minions that you're gonna be dealing with. Quite a wide variety of stuff that you can pick from. And honestly, the game would fall flat if it didn't. I wish it was more, but obviously that's the same with everything. So we leave this because I didn't get what I needed. Now here I'm going to show you the screen here. How you decide what reward you're going to get. So you have 3 choices pretty much every time except for champion. Sometimes you only have 1. Now if you can see there, it says Aztec ruins, frozen caves. So that dictates where you're going to defend. The very bottom there, you see it says monster and then gold, or artifact and gold. That means essentially that's what you're going to be getting. So if I pick veteran there, I'll get an artifact and 33 to 65 gold. So you have to kind of dictate what you need. So I'm going to go artifact, because usually if you don't have 5 artifacts, usually it's good idea to go artifact until you do, because they're passive, they help you, they're good. We're gonna go artifact. Yep. And since these 2 are on since I didn't heal them, I'm gonna have to pick new characters from my rooms. Just unfortunate, but it happens. I'm gonna be hopping in here. Yep. Get a bit of a different room here. Now, I know that I'm going to make a mistake here, which I'm going to correct. I'm going to mention it. So here, I'm going to pick a trap that's wrong. I'm going to pick the Crystal Catalyst, which is not going to help me. Crystal Catalyst only helps my spells. But the next thing in line is a trap that deals magical damage. So the Cursed Prism would be better, right? I'm going to be correcting this. So the There are many traps in the game. There's like, I think it's like 20 or something. Maybe 18, something like that. And honestly, probably one of my favorite games are the traps. You can kind of tweak and really play around. But I'll hop out and I'll show you something else. Because each save, sort of like this, has sort of an ascension mode and an endless mode.
Are you a slave master in search of something new? Are you an enchantress with an ever-insufficient magic budget? Are you a misunderstood genius? Sign up with the Dungeons Company. Assemble your ideal team, train your monsters to defend our treasures from ever stupider heroes. Feel free to give us a call by Crystal Ball at... and become a part of the Legend of Keepers.
Yep, there we go. I'll let you listen to that, why not? Now this is the DLCs, obviously those 3, which I talked about earlier. But the reason I hopped out is to show you that they are very different, the runs. So you see at the bottom there, I have a different minion for each. See that? Default says humanoid and then undead, right? Basically, each one of these has different ones, depending on what you pick. Which means that the runs are different. They're not going to be the same, don't worry. So, there is a lot of replayability just because of that. And you can basically say that each one of these challenges here specialize towards a certain direction. You can go against it when you're playing, but I mean, that might not always be a good idea. And obviously, like, each one of these, the DLCs that they add have different mechanics tied to them and stuff, so you do get rewarded for playing, and you get rewarded like that as well. So I'm just showing you that, you know, each one of these challenges are going to be different for you. And it adds to replayability a little. But I think I'm going to be hopping back. Yeah, so that's the Ascension mode, yeah. I'll show you that later. I'll be hopping back into the save here.
Following the path of destiny.
And obviously you can hop out and in at any point you don't get tossed out of the game. Again, I'm making the mistake I talked about earlier. And I realized that just now. And hopping back, and I'm going to show you. Yeah. I realized that, yep, my spells are not there, and that's not correct. And if you look at the game that it's going to ensue, you'll notice just how much that actually meant doing this. And that's one thing that people do in this game. When they say games difficult, because they do complain about this. They say the games are difficult. And it is difficult. You can tweak the difficulty, but even then, it's not an easy game. So you have to think on your feet. You can't just throw the minions out and hope that's gonna solve everything. Now, enemies are gonna attack different tiles depending on where they stand, so you're gonna have to pay attention to that too.
I'm waiting for you.
Right, so here we debuff them. You're gonna take more magic damage, which will help here. Now, I could go Blizzard here for the extra damage, or Easy Target for the extra damage on traps. But I know that trap doesn't deal much damage, the next one. So I'm opting to go false here. Stalactite fall, whatever. Because that will deal about 20% damage percent, so over time, so. Yep, come on, take on it. I'm probably doing the math in my head, but the math checks out to be a bit more. So this one deals about 30 damage. 20% of that is like what, 15. So it's not too bad. You could have gone that too, and it wouldn't be bad. Now here is where my damage here really mattered. So I could go Poison Corpses again, but Curse Seeds is just so good because it really debuffs the enemy. Now these have armor on the positive side, which means my Succubus is gonna spread her shit through them. Now I make a misplay here. I shouldn't have clicked Curse Seeds because that reduces armor sometimes, and it's gonna do that now. See? Yeah, it did that. It reduced the armor of that middle character, which means my Succubus spells won't spread through the second character there. It's got minus now, see? So that's not good. So I'm going to lower the damage here by doing some morale damage. And it's very important to debuff the enemy and constantly. You don't have to. You can brute force it. You can just go physical damage. You slap them. But sometimes it's really important. So here they have armor reduced here, and I realized this. It's not going to spread. That was a misplay by me. But hey, I get to poison 2 of them at least, and that's good enough. So they're dealing a lot of damage, like you can see. When you play on heroes being strong, as in the setting when you started the game, you have to play by ear. Like you have to be really thoughtful of what you're doing. I know that they're gonna kick my ass here, so I'm just thinking, can I kill one of them? Get close to. Because again, remember what I said. Like killing one is more important than wounding all of them. I'm gonna be showing you a bit of difference here. I'm gonna spider shoot down whatever that was, poison web. So the game can really haunt you, like really keep you. I'm gonna show you Spider Raid because it's cute. There's spiders everywhere and adorable. Well, most people won't agree with me, but that's okay. Now, I get to choose an artifact here, and the troll beer is incredible. But the figurehead isn't bad too. That bonus there is very powerful. Because it's essentially magical seeds, but for me, but benefit. Now, business trip is one of my favorite ones. Like, you can send a minion out to do whatever. And usually it could be get an artifact or whatever, but they'll be unavailable when they're doing that. So let's do a business trip. Throw him out to get some gold for me. You can get, well, obviously I don't have elementals right now. I'm going the skeleton build, so I'm not going to run that. Unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. We'll send her out, get some motivation, get some gold. It's nice. Now, workout increases your master's capacity in every sense. So we're going to be doing that because obviously I want to showcase it. And it will cost blood, tears, or money, depending. This time it's costing blood, which means I can only get one of them. Normally you can get all of them if you can afford it. So it's a quite nice system to increase your skills. Now let's buff that up again. And we're going to be selling one of my minions to show the black market, which you can get rid of minions or tweak them out. It's quite good. I'm going to show you a champion battle now. Now these are difficult. They have a legendary enemy in their ranks, and this time it's the fire dude. Again, I'm checking so that I synergize properly. Like, it's so important. It's so important. Like, honestly, if I were to say having a good synergy between two things is better than having a strong thing on either of them to the same that don't synergize. Because this game steamrolls. If you can keep a bleed up the entire run for the enemy, so they're constantly stacking bleeds, it's way more important than dealing physical damage. So I'm now weakening them for my spell, which is going to be Enchanted Seeds, I believe, which means that buff didn't really do anything, but I realized that they're going to be difficult this time. I'm going to have to play this smart, so I do. I play Enchanted Seeds on my next minions here, which basically means they're turned into treants, which is that down the front, after they've done their first turn. So I'll poison and then turn into treants. Increase their debuffs, and again, treants. And now the memeing begins, because these guys poison AoE. They deal no damage pretty much, but they poison constantly. We're going to stack that as high as we can. I was very lucky that it didn't kill me before they had a chance to turn. We'll get the poison pretty high here, if I recall. Now, poison and bleed deal cumulative more and more damage the higher the stack. So I think I'm dealing about 60 now, because it's so high. Frostbite, fire, do not deal cumulatively more. If you have 50 stacks of frost damage, it will deal 5% 50 times. So sometimes that's stronger. Sometimes enemies have like 1,000 health, or 5% of 1,000 is pretty good. So sometimes that's stronger. But generally, bleed and poison is very powerful. It's just an unfortunate mechanic. So what you want really is you want a little bit of fire, a little bit of frost, and then stack either bleed or poison. So that you can really get the 10% damage every turn along with the bleeds, or poison, whatever you go. Alright, so he's being problematic, but that's okay. Now I'm figuring out that I'm doing morale damage. I wanted to make him run, but I couldn't quite get there. We're actually gonna get my favorite thing in the entire game as a reward, which I was very happy about. So champions reward very good stuff. So here is an occult thorn. For elementals, that's very good. 2 thorns at the start of a fight is quite nice, right? You can stack that pretty high, so that's cool. Nightmare Mirror is basically, I put them at the end of each run, like at the end just before my master, because it will deal whatever damage I need. So if their morale is low, it'll deal morale. If their life is low, it'll deal life, right? This guy is just a big bruisey demon dude. He's very powerful. But I picked the mirror there because obviously I wanted it. But I'm gonna end this run because I want to talk about the Ascension part of the game, which I can only show if I end the run. So I'm gonna do that. Cool.
My growth is limitless.
Just hop bottom here. Right. So Ascension here, you click on and then you get a gradually increasing difficulty curve. Now the difficulty curve isn't that good. It's just minus 5% money, right? So it's not like wow. Or 10% minus rather. So I mean, yeah, you'll get more difficult, sure. But it's not like, ooh, an amazing feature of innovation. It's whatever, right? I want to talk to you about the price of the game. The game costs 18 euros or your regional equivalent. And each one of these DLCs that I'm showing you a little here of, this one, for example, has a new mechanic, which is the mummies here. So I'm going to show you, right there. And this one has the spiritual sort of weirdness, and the other one has the necromancer stuff, right? That's the last guy. It's got like mega necromancy, so like proper necromancy. And each one of these is 5 euros, or your regional equivalent. Now if you combine them, like if you buy all of them separately, that's 33 euros, or your regional equivalent. If you buy the bundle, which there is one on Steam that includes the game along with its DLCs, it will run you 30 euros, or your regional equivalent. Now, that's not too pricey for this. You'll get about 40 hours of fun if you get bored quick. So it's not like, ooh, holy shit, right? It's not too expensive. And initially, for the price, like 18 euros, it's not that bad. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say it's worth it. I would, if I didn't know this game existed, I bought it. I would pay for that. I think that's a reasonable ask. But yeah, I don't have much else to say about this game, right? It's a very good game. I like it. I recommend it. But that's all from me because I don't have much else to say. So yeah, I'm not gonna plug myself because fuck that shit.